You're listening to KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine.
The opinions and views expressed in this program do not reflect those of KUCI, its management, or the UC Board of Regents. To find out more about this talk show or other talk shows broadcasting on KUCI, log on to our website at kuci.org or check out the latest program guide.
This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at the David Henry Hwang Theater for the world premiere of Man of God.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Anna Munch. I'm the playwright of Man of God here at East West Players.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
The whole play is kind of about the distance between the fantasies that we have about what we're going to do when we face our attacker and then what we actually do when we come face to face.
Okay. Why did you decide to write this piece anyway?
I was inspired by a friend telling me about this real life event in which this situation did happen, and I tried to learn more about it and found that there was very little available because it's something that people don't really like to talk a lot about. And so I wrote this play kind of from my own imagination as to what I imagine these girls are doing in the interval between discovery and confrontation.
You know what I think happened at the end? The pastor would say, "Everybody, I just had this fantastic opportunity. I'm now selected as the senior pastor for another church. I love you. I'm really going to miss you guys." Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I think that often is what happens as people move from place to place and things get swept under the rug.
Right. Well, I loved it. Also, it reminded me a bit of the Joy Luck Club, about four girls, and they talk about these tragic things that happen to them, but they're realistic. I mean, this could have happened to anyone.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that this is unfortunately something that's extremely common in our society, that people have to experience moments where they have to reckon with the dark side of other people, and there is a moment always for every young woman where they realize that the male gaze is on them and has been on them, and that's a difficult and complicated moment for people.
Well, again, I love the piece because it was like these four girls. They were like girls when they entered, but when they left, you realized how much that they've been traumatized, and basically that they had to become women. And things like this make them women, I guess. But it's just a terrible way to grow up.
Yes, I mean, I think that as I get older and older, I start to realize quicker and quicker when I'm on a certain path with other people, and you just start to become a little more careful, a little more quickly, and I think that that's kind of unfortunate that that's what we're forced to do in this life, where we have to kind of close ourselves off from other people and can't trust people because we have experienced unpleasant situations and we've experienced abuses of trust.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I know I've spoken to a lot of women. A lot of women would never tell this.
Right.
Even if I know them, I know them very well, they still would never tell it. And there's a lot of shame. Yeah, I mean, but what they have to be ashamed about, they didn't do anything wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that the shame comes from the way that people respond to this kind of thing, where they sort of assume that if you have experienced some kind of sexual abuse or trauma, that you are somehow damaged for life, that this is something that in some way you were asking for, that maybe you made it up, and that honestly it's difficult enough to deal with it and recover and move on, and having to educate others about the fact that this exists and is real is often something that survivors do not wish to pile onto the plate. And I feel, of course, I stand with all survivors who do decide to come forward. I think that that's incredibly important and valuable. But I think sometimes we, on the progressive side, can rush to say, everyone should come forward, and if you don't, then you are somehow weak or lesser than. And I just think that actually is quite damaging as well.
Well, once again, I love the performance. The way you wrote it was beautiful. It's contrast between beauty and ugliness, darkness, things that have just always been there. I just loved it. It was fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. And I'm here with
Jessica Prudencia. Oh, I'm just so excited to be here at the opening night of Man of God. We had an incredible performance, and I can't wait. We're going to have a great 3-week run. Anna Munch wrote this incredible play that really looks at fantasy versus reality when it comes to women being put in a situation around sexual assault and how they defend themselves. So through humor and fantasy and fighting and heart, I feel like Anna wrote this really beautifully complex play that I knew I had to direct.
I thought it was very dark.
Yeah, this I think what's so tough about this show is that it does look at the issue of why women disclose or why they don't, why they fight or why they don't. And so I think strength comes in many forms, and I hope that our audiences leave talking about that complexity.
So basically, do you think this was an Asian type play? Because there is a cultural thing about the Asian play, but also I guess it is typical for women in general. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say that I think that it's a universal story for sure that a lot of people relate to. But I think especially Asian women will look at this production and find themselves in one of these characters.
As a director, 80% of your job is casting. What do you look for in your casting?
For this production, we wanted to cast. We're looking for 4 girls that were really convincingly teenagers, and we really got that. 2 of our actors are still teenagers. Actually, 2 of them are sophomores in college. So we were looking for very distinct personalities in each character, and then in our callbacks we had them work together as an ensemble. So we found a great connection with these 4 girls. Also, with our pastor, we wanted someone that was incredibly charming and so sweet, but also could play all these different kinds of characters. So ultimately, we were looking for a lot of range and a lot of power, and people that are great, that could handle humor. Yeah.
Well, I love the cast. They look like what they were actually.
Yeah, I know. They were amazing. They worked so hard, and to fill that space. I mean, this is a big theater, so for all these film actors, they really filled the space physically and vocally. It was a pleasure working with them.
All right. Well, once again, love the performance, love the direction. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Michelle Celine Eng. I'm so grateful to be here. It's the world premiere of Man of God by Anna Munch, and I'm very grateful to be a part of it.
Great. And which character do you play?
I play Jen in the play. She's a very outspoken, strong, feminist character.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
They should expect a play that's difficult, that's timely, and very, very funny. Yeah.
I agree, but I thought it was actually very dark. You know, I thought it was a little bit like Joy Luck Club, about women sharing really dark, painful, traumatic problems in their lives. You know what I mean?
Yes, but through a lot of dark moments, there's comedy as well. In fact, there could be an argument that says the darkest moments produce the best comedy. I don't know. It's this play.
Yeah, I guess it was bonding and all that, but maybe it was something to do with, like, the fact that these people were supposed to be really nice. It was supposed to be this mission trip. Everything was supposed to be beautiful, but there was this dark secrets, a dark ugliness that came through.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but the conversations that come out from the play's core, I think, makes it all worth it.
Well, I love the performance. I love your performance, and also thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Kat Ko. Okay, hi, my name is Catherine, and I'm from Los Angeles, California. I'm an actor here. I graduated from UC San Diego with my MFA, 7 Masters, in 2017, and this is my first production at East West Players, and I'm super excited about it.
Great, and which character did you play?
I played Kyung-hwa. I feel like Kyung-hwa is the more straightforward character of the play. She's she's less naive, and she thinks things through very well, and I think with the situation of the play, she kind of goes about it in a different perspective.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
They should be surprised. They'll be expected to be surprised. They will be in for a lot of heavy stuff, but very funny. It's like 4 15-year-old girls who are trying to figure out this traumatic incident and try to solve it together. So it's chaos.
Yeah, I love the piece. It actually reminded me a bit of a younger version of the Joy Luck Club. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I didn't think about that way, but yes. Yeah, four young women just coming together.
Yeah, but what they talked about was very traumatic. It was about abuse, male abuse. Some of it was sexual, and it was just almost like there's this culture of letting men dominate women in a misogynist way. You know what I mean? It's almost like this has happened 100 years ago, and it's still happening, and almost like it's going to happen tomorrow and maybe 10 years from now. What are your thoughts on that?
I think you're right. It will happen. It did happen. It will, and it is happening. And I think this play just reminds us of that and reminds us of, the Asian American community not being so open about it and wanting to kind of, cover things up or not say anything out loud, or as children that we're being taught to kind of, suck it up. Life goes on. We've been through worse things than this. Your parents immigrated here, and they worked so hard for you. And yeah, it's sad that it happens, but I think this play in the end gives us a little bit of hope that things can change, and I think the audiences who see it will have that conversation, which is amazing.
Yeah, well, I hope it doesn't. Things won't change unless they see plays like this. Beautifully done, wonderfully acted, I love it. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Sandy Wen. I just finished the opening night of Man of God. It is really incredible. I'm feeling exhilarated, and I want as many people to come see this as possible.
Great. And which character did you play?
I played Mimi. I think Mimi she is a baddie. She is an absolute bad girl. She is the hothead of the group. She is ferocious. She's furious, and she is out here with vengeance.
Yeah, if my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
I think you should expect to see a really, really funny but dark exploration of girls having to deal with some serious trauma and some serious real world mess.
I agree. In fact, sometimes some people say the Asian culture, because it's kind of like they have face and they have pretense and all that.
Yeah.
A lot of this happens a lot.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you can hear it in the background, just like this ghost behind you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I feel like it's a huge issue in our community, but because of how many Asian cultures function, I feel like the dynamics of power, the dynamics of gender in church, religion, and then age as well, it all creates this environment where young people who are victimized by respected members of society, respected members of the community, aren't able to speak out and speak up against it. And the system helps itself, and the cycle perpetuates.
Right, exactly. This reminds me of the Joy Luck Club. They had problems with sexuality, with abuse, and that was like hundreds of years ago. This seemed a lot like it.
Yeah. I definitely feel like issues that were brought up in the Joy Luck Club, issues that were brought up now in Man of God, it's sad to say, but it is still very, very relevant.
Well, I love the performance, and I hope the only way things will change is if more things like this are done. I've never heard this before done in a theater, and I just loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
I agree. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm at KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with...
Hi, I'm Sun Hisa. I play Samantha in the world premiere of Man of God by Anna Munch, directed by Jessica Prudencio, and I really enjoyed it. It's opening night, and I'm going to have a great time. I think Samantha is a very sweet and naive girl. She thinks that the world is very cut and dry, and throughout the course of the play she learns a lot about the people around her and also how she views the world. What I love about this play is that it's a lot of laughs, but it's also really complex and thoughtful and takes a really serious issue and looks at it in a perspective that I don't think we've really seen before in the media. So I think it's great to watch these teenage girls grapple with such a mature topic.
I thought it was very dark. It was very shocking. It talks about things that people just don't talk about, like, abuse.
Yes.
Just to put it bluntly, it talks about it talks about family abuse, in which basically shouldn't be done. It shouldn't be like someone you trust very well who actually takes advantage of you. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, I think that was something that really impressed me about the play. It's brutally honest, which is what makes it funny, but also at times so dark and so hard to swallow. And I think that's accurate to what life is.
This is actually an Asian theater. This also seems very Asian in the sense, I wouldn't say this stereotypically happens to a lot of Asian women, but if it did happen, there would be a lot of ways that it would not get out. There would be face, there would be family, there would be just culture that you just don't do things. You just don't do this, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I think that was something that we talked about a lot when we were rehearsing. It's trying to balance the mixture of the cultural aspect, which definitely revolves around reputation and saving face. And I think that the play does a great job, especially in its ending, of showing how certain cultural hierarchies and social structures affect the way these girls feel comfortable with speaking up and coming forward. And I think that's really important and a great thing.
Well, I really like the performance. I love your performance too. Very effervescent. It kind of contrasts how dark this was. You were such a light character, a child-like in a very, very dark comedy. So I really love the way you played your part.
Great. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was, Samantha's cute. She doesn't totally know what's going on, but she figures it out. I think she learns a lot by the end of the play. She's left in a very interesting space of deciding where she's going to go and what she's going to believe from here on out.
Once again, I really love your performance. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Roy Von Tama. I play the pastor here for Man of God, and I'm an actor, and I'm also a doctor, and I'm happy to be at this world premiere. Yeah.
And what's your personal take on the doctor?
On the pastor?
On the pastor, yeah.
Well, my personal take is that he's a good guy that made a mistake. You know, it's a tough thing when you make a mistake as a pastor of this kind of magnitude, and there's so much pressure to kind of be the pastor that they think he's supposed to be, you know, and it's tough.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
Well, if they come to this piece, they're going to see something it's really, really funny, it's really, really powerful, and it's very, very current as far as what's happening in our world. About right now, we're in this world where everything's about right or wrong, black or white, you're one end or the other. But this play is like, life's not like that. When you're in the actual moment of things, we make decisions for different reasons.
Yeah, basically we're all human beings. It seems like it's just more highlighted the people of power when they fall or when they do something wrong, that basically it's just exaggerated. You know what I mean? And when you look at it, actually we're all like that. Like even if you look at, say, the President Donald Trump, and he says something, when do we say something wrong? You know what I mean? It's just more exaggerated because I'm not sure, maybe they have a greater responsibility. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, anytime you put somebody up somewhere where they're not supposed to be, in your mind or in reality, and they fall from that place, it causes a lot of anger, and it causes a lot of shock and a lot of remorse, I think, and mourning of who you thought the person was supposed to be. You know, like you said, Donald Trump, he's supposed to be this person. He's supposed to be this, supposed to be that. And then in this play, Man of God, the pastor's supposed to be this person. And when you find him to have a flaw, you know, what does that mean? Does that mean he's evil? Does that mean he's just a man that made a mistake? Or what does it mean to you, you know?
You know what I think happened after the play? After it ended? I think what happened was basically he found a position as a senior pastor. Said, sorry, everyone, I enjoyed my time here as a pastor. I love it, but I'm finding a position as a senior pastor at another church. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, I mean, this is actually based on a true story, you know? So there's two ways to look at it. What do the girls do when they get home? And what does a pastor do when he gets home? I mean, his whole life is based on being a pastor. He makes his money that way, his reputation, his family, and he's got to protect that, you know?
One last question for you. This is a little bit off topic. A lot of people have asked me why there aren't that many Asian actors out there in Hollywood and all that. And you look at Crazy Rich Asian, do you know that 3 of the actors were lawyers and 1 was a doctor? So if a kid says to me, I want to be an actor, I have a choice between being an actor or a doctor.
Yeah.
What would you tell him?
I would say to anybody out there that's binary thinking. There's not this or that. You know, I call that the tyranny of or. You've got to think the genius of and. You've got to look for an and solution. Like me, I'm a professional actor, and I'm an oncologist. I have a job. I work at UCLA part-time, and I act when I get jobs. So I was able to do both. Of course, people along the way told me I couldn't do it, but that's because I have Asian parents, So they're like, what are you doing? You're losing money, But I mean, in your life, you have to do what you love, and you're going to be successful if you do.
Okay. Well, I really loved the performance. It was shocking. It was edgy. It was real, and it was something that is actually going to stay with me for a while. I'm going to be thinking about this piece. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Man of God will be playing at the David Henry Hwang Theater from January 31st to February 24th. For more information, go to www.eastwestplayers.org. This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at the Odyssey Theater for their presentation of Here.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Ron Batita. It's lovely to be on stage at the Odyssey again. It's great to be on the radio in Irvine.
And which character you play tonight?
I played Arnold, the old guy with the stroke, in Taylor Max Here, the LA premiere.
What's your take on Arnold?
Sorry, it's very hard to do this because my character just has a stroke. So, like, I don't think in the overview of the thing. I sort of play within this tiny little bubble of consciousness, and that's my thing. I let everyone else tell the story of the play. I just play within my bubble of consciousness. So, it's kind of different.
Your performance actually shook me. It resonated with me. I was actually thinking I should become a vegetarian. I shouldn't treat my wife so badly. I gotta buy insurance. You know what I mean? I mean, I was thinking about that
watching
all.
Your blood pressure, yeah. No, I do. I thought one thing I'm thinking about rehearsing and doing this play is that if I do actually die of a stroke, it's going to be so ironic. That's all people ever remember me for. So that's daunting. So I try to get my exercise and not have a stroke.
Yeah, but it's also something about this place, but it resonates with you. It's kind of like, I describe the scenery as being greasy.
Yes, it's greasy. It's greasy and broken.
No, but look, there's no grease on the walls. It triggered something in me from my childhood about when my house was a little messy, when it was a little greasy. You look at it, it's not greasy. It's something about me. It resonates. You know what I mean?
Yeah, could be. I think you got an interesting greasy point there, yeah.
And also about your character resonated with me. I just love the character. Even though he didn't do a whole lot, I mean, the acting was fantastic, though. It connected with the audience. It conveyed the message. It made everyone else stronger, so I just loved your performance.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, it's one of the smallest and the biggest parts I've ever done, so it's nice. It's 15 lines and, on stage and acting the whole time. It's exhausting, but it's fun.
Okay. If my viewers decide to come out and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
Come to see a play where people are just relentlessly awful to one another, and through that, the strength of the human spirit shines through.
Well, again, I love the performance. I love your performance also. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thanks very much.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Cynthia Kenya. So I'm from Chicago, but I've lived in LA for a very long time because I came out here to go to USC. I'm also an acting teacher for kids, and I've done a lot of LA theater, but this is like by far the most amazing part I've had. So I really was looking forward to it.
And which character do you play tonight?
Paige, the mother. Paige is just basically an abused wife and mother who has been freed by circumstances, and now she's found herself, and now she's able to take care of her children in the way she wants, but it's one obstacle after another for her.
If my viewers decide to come out and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
Well, it's absurd realism would be the genre, so it's very funny at times, very hilarious, darkly funny, very physical. a lot of physical comedy, physical things happen, but there are the dramatic moments when, as it is in life, things can be riotous and then suddenly they take a turn.
I love the piece. I thought it was traumatizing, basically. Just looking at you, it brought back memories of my childhood, of my family life, things that I've been kind of suppressing, you know what I mean?
Yes. If you have any dysfunction in your family, and really, don't we all, this will churn up memories, yes. If, family dynamics and dysfunction and any violence in the home or anything like that, it churns it up, yeah. But then you laugh. The next minute you can laugh, though.
I was thinking, actually, in my chair, I was thinking, can I ever say sorry for the things? Like, for example, if I hurt my wife, would she ever forgive me? You know what I mean? It's like, if you, like, for example, like with abuse, you can never forgive someone who abused you. But if I said something like, we fought with something, I was just wondering, could she ever forgive me? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I guess it depends how far it goes. You know what I mean? And every woman has their own line. So I don't know. That's a really hard question to answer because it would depend on the person. But I think if you show a true intent to change and take some steps towards it, then yes, from my point of view, yes, that you'd be more inclined to be forgiven if you show that you wanted to change,
Well, that basically just reflects what they can expect from the play. It's you will feel for this. It'll draw up the pain, and basically it'll just be problematic. But I love your performance.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, and I hope everyone can come see it. They'll enjoy it. It'll make them think and laugh.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Puppet with 2 T's, and I play Max here at the Odyssey Theater. I am an actor and a director living in Los Angeles. This is my first play since high school, and I'm having a blast. And I've been acting on screen the last few years.
Great. Which character do you play?
I play Max, which is the transgender, non-binary 17-year-old in the play. I think Max is trying to make sense of a household where they've been experiencing abuse most of their childhood, and only in the last year has had any sort of environment of safety. And so Max is exploring a lot of different directions and is being listened to a little too much by their mother. So 17-year-olds kind of think they know everything, but also what they know is true is changing all the time. So that can create some chaos.
If my viewers decide to come and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
Some liquids, some bodily fluids, and some loud noises.
Actually, I really enjoyed the piece. Again, first of all, you mentioned earlier that basically you thought this was just for, say, gender. It was not for gender normal people. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't mean that it's not for them, but it doesn't bother me if someone feels that it's not. Like if someone who is a straight person leaves the theater feeling like, that's not my cup of tea, that's okay with me. I care more about this being a queer piece that makes queer people be seen, because theater generally isn't for our community. So that's the demographic I'm more concerned with, but I'm happy to have other people also enjoy it.
Yeah, because I actually disagree with you. I think it is for everyone, because it'll strike anyone's core who basically had troubled childhood, who basically are just trying to find themselves. Like, where am I in this world? If I graduate college, I don't have a job. I mean, what do? I mean, if other people are telling me that I'm supposed to be like this and I'm not, or you're supposed to be, you're supposed to be a smart, hard-working guy. Well, I'm not a smart, hard-working guy. You're supposed to get A's. I'm not getting A's. You know what I mean? This is for everybody.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it should be for everybody. It does. I think this play asks you to think a lot and asks you to empathize and scratch through the surface. And a lot, some people don't want to have to do that work. So, but yeah, if you're interested in exploring things, this is a play for everyone.
Also enjoyed the characters. They were so rich. You know what I mean? They were so three-dimensional. It wasn't like even the father, who basically hardly had any lines. He wasn't a piece of furniture. He wasn't a vegetable. He interacted with so many people and made so many other people stronger. Every character, their dynamics working together just worked so well.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you read the script, Arnold's character kind of describes a few things, but mostly he has a line here and there. And once you put an actor like with Ron's skill set to bring it to life, he's just a presence on the stage that really like creates an extra element to everything that is hard to imagine when you're reading it. But it's really beautiful to have him bring that character to life.
Yeah, well, I love the performance tonight, and I love your performance also. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thanks so much. Have a great night.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with?
You're with Zach Gearing. Very nice to meet you. Thank you for coming to the show. I'm just too excited to be a part of this whole explosive project, and I'm really looking forward to being a part of more. And I think it's a beautiful, for anybody that wants to open their mind a little bit extra more to people of the LGBT community and their way of life. But it's tough, there's so many things I want to say in so little time. Basically, if you want to open your mind a little bit more to dysfunctional families in theater, come see here.
And which character do you play?
I play Isaac. He's an Army vet who comes home. He bit off way more than he can chew in the Marines, actually, Marine vet. And thought he could become a man in the Marines, thought he could learn how to protect his family in the Marines. And while some of those things may have happened to him while he was gone, a lot more worse damage occurred. And so he's coming back and he's trying to grapple with his mother and learn how to... Well, he tries to learn how to join at the end, but in the beginning, initially, he's just trying to get the house back on track to the way it used to be, so that he can rehabilitate himself, because he's developed an addiction to methamphetamine, unfortunately, as a coping mechanism.
If my viewers decide to come and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
You should expect to see a lot of funny things, but also some tear-jerking moments, and above all, you're just going to see a lot of fun happening on stage.
I agree. First of all, it was painful. It was disturbing, actually, in my opinion.
Yes.
It just brought back so many things about memories that just resonated in me.
Right.
In fact, your character, again, your character kind of reminded me of myself.
Beautiful.
And becoming my father, basically. I remember once I did something, and I'm saying, this is just exactly like my father. I told myself I'd never be like this.
Exactly. And he pretty much told himself the same thing. But, I mean, nature has a funny way of repeating itself, just like history. And definitely there is a little bit of both happening at the end. And it's ironic because all he wanted to do was protect his family. And that's why that was the main reason he told himself that he was going in the Marines, was to learn how to be a better protector for the family. Because prior to his leave, he was in between the dog and the fence post being the family, the dog being the father, Arnold. And also, this is a nice challenging play for our elders, who haven't fully, a lot of which I believe haven't fully, come fully comfortable with LGBT anything, And my father is one of those. He's a conservative, but he loved the play. I mean, I was in it, but he still loved it.
I agree. It's for everybody. I mean,
it's for everybody.
People say that it's for LGBT, and I agree with you. It is, but there's just so much about family. It's so much about the pain.
Yeah.
It's so much about the darkness.
Yeah.
And again, especially your character. Again, I see myself in your character.
That's so cool.
I see my father in your character, because I'm thinking, if I became like my father, maybe my father went through the same thing, and maybe I shouldn't have been so hard on him, because he was just trying to be a regular guy. He was trying to protect his family, but his father did something to him, and he was saying, "Oh, that guy's all messed up." You know what I mean?
Yeah. A never-ending cycle. And like I said, Isaac didn't want to be his dad, all he wanted to do was to prevent his family from deteriorating, but his efforts to do that kind of made the family deteriorate even more. And they lose faith in him a little bit, or at least his mother. And so it's, well, I don't want to give away too much of the story, but it's either way, it's different each night we do it, and it's definitely a roller coaster. And what's so exciting is that there's moments where you don't know whether to laugh or be silent, and even in those moments, you're kind of growing. You're just kind of growing throughout the whole thing as you're watching it, and certainly being a part of it, it's very eye-opening in many different senses of the phrase.
Well, I love the performance. I love your performance also.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Thank you very much. And thanks for seeing it. I appreciate you coming to see it.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Here, we'll be playing at the Odyssey Theater from January 19th to March 17th. For more information, go to www.odysseytheater.com. This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at the Pasadena Playhouse for their presentation of Ragtime the Musical.
Hi, this is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Bryce Charles. Hi, I play Sarah. I'm in the production of Ragtime at the Pasadena Playhouse. I'm born and raised in California. Always been on the West Coast, and musical theater has just always been my passion, and it's been amazing being able to pursue this passion at the Pasadena Playhouse. Sarah is she's a very complex character. You know, we see her in the show, we see her at her lowest point, and that's not exactly how you're introduced to all the other characters. You know, everyone else, you're introduced to them in, you know, the middle of their journey, and they're aspiring for something, whereas Sarah, she's kind of hit rock bottom. And through the progression of the show, you find her sort of regaining her strength, regaining her joy in life. And it's been amazing sort of playing that character arc and all of those complexities and adding all of those layers to her character throughout the course of the show.
Yeah, actually, one of the reasons I wanted you on my show was because of your character. It had such a dramatic, traumatizing backstory.
Yes. yes. I don't want to give too much away for those who haven't seen it. The show hasn't been on the West Coast in quite some time. So Sarah's been heartbroken. She's been abandoned by a man that she loves. When she gets her heart broken, she actually is the one to leave, in fact. And she finds herself isolated. She finds herself in a very dark place mentally. And with that sort of trauma, she's driven to do something that she would never do otherwise. And that I don't think, anyone could really bring themselves to do. And so it's a really interesting place to be in, because we don't see her when she sort of commits this act, this dark, it is essentially considered a crime. And it's really emotional to have to dive into that every single night. It's really heavy material to portray, and to jump right into a song, Sarah's first song, the first time we, hear her sing and we hear her story, is a song called Your Daddy's Son. And for me, it's a heartbreaking piece. And I hope that when people see it, they see the emotional struggle that she's gone through. It's hard to watch someone break down to a point where they don't even recognize themselves.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, Ragtime, what should they expect to see?
The story has so much heart. The story is truly a story about aspiring for the American dream. We see three different families, three different groups of people aspiring to make it in America. We see a rich white family in New Rochelle who are sort of struggling to maintain their stability in their life as the world around them changes. We see a Jewish immigrant coming to America for the first time with his daughter, and we see how he truly is aspiring towards that sort of stereotypical, American dream cliche, which is actually something that I think a lot of people can still relate to. A lot of people the American dream ideal is something that has become, I think, sort of washed over, and people have become kind of cynical to it. But I think there's something still there that people have a dream and they come here to aspire or to achieve that goal. And then we have the musician in Harlem, the black musician, who falls in love with a woman and doesn't know how to love her properly. And then they go through their, ups and downs in their relationship, and they end up finding their happiness all too late, unfortunately. But they still end up finding it, and it's really beautiful to see that happen on stage. It's three very distinct stories that come together in a very unexpected way. It's a beautiful tale of how America is truly a melting pot, and we can all come together to, as cheesy as it may sound, come together to live happily ever after. There is a way that we can all achieve our American dream.
Yeah, I wouldn't exactly call the play cheesy because it was very dark. I mean, it pulled no punches. It
Well,
pretty bad.
For me, the idea of happily ever after, I know it sounds like a fairy tale, and living in America is no fairy tale. Living in America at the turn of the 20th century was definitely not a fairy tale. And so it's hard to put that sort of phrase a part of a story that, like you said, is very dark. But for me, that is what happens at the end of the show, which I think is so beautiful, to remind people that no matter what turmoil may arise, no matter what trials and tribulations you go through, there is a way to find happiness and to find joy when we all accept one another and when we all come together as one.
Okay, now your character, again, your character, your arc was not the primary arc, one of those primary arcs you were talking about, but what does that say about the African-American woman? With the trauma you went through, I thought it was the most intense character in there. What does it say about the African-American woman's experience in this time, and I guess in this times right now?
Well, I think it's really interesting that you brought that up. That's actually a really fascinating point. Sarah is definitely not the main storyline. She's not the main arc. She is sort of an accessory to Cole House's story. He is, the black male figure, and he is one of the main characters in the show. We only learn about Sarah through Cole House's eyes. And so, there it is right there. We see a filter version of Sarah. When Cole House brings her up, he talks about how beautiful she is, how she's like an angel, how she's perfect, how, the Lord sent her down to him specifically to make him happy and to fulfill his life. But really, Sarah is her own human being. She is a person who is not perfect. She is very flawed, and she is very strong. She's not easily broken, which goes to show that when we see her as a, broken down, tragic mess, essentially, what in the world got her to that point? You know what I mean? It's a fascinating idea to sit and think, well, what drove her to that place? What broke her heart? And it was, this man who didn't know how to love her properly, who prayed for her and thought she was this, pristine, perfect doll-like, creature, that she just wasn't even really treated like a human. And then when she reaches her breaking point, she gets to speak for herself, which I think is lovely within the show. She gets to have her own song about her side of things. Yes, Cole House, loved her for a time, but he also had other women that he loved, and he loved his music more than anything else. And, when he broke my heart, I had to leave. That's essentially what she says in the song. And when she's on her own and with his child left, to deal with this on her own, and this child reminds her of the man that broke her heart, it's a very troubling place to be in. And in a time when, having a child out of wedlock was something that was just unheard of. It was unspeakable. It could not happen. And if it did happen, then you were cast out. So she essentially cast herself out, and that's something that I think women, not just black women, but I think women in general, are still fighting for their own voice, for their own control over their bodies and their control over their lives. and black women specifically, I think are still being viewed as an accessory to the the strong black man. But that is a product of society, and that is something that I think is very relevant in a lot of the feminist movements that are going on right now. And I think that's why the show is so strong and powerful, is because it was a show written in I believe the 70s about a family, about many families in the turn of the 20th century. So we're talking like very early 1900s, and here we are in 2019, and we can very strongly relate to all of the messages about feminism and racism and racial prejudice, and also immigration. It's a show that I think, unfortunately, will be relevant for a very, very long time.
Okay, actually, 3 of your cast members I've actually had on my show before, and I'm very familiar with their work. I thought they were fantastic. What's your opinion about the cast?
I think the cast is spectacular. It's really been amazing in this rehearsal process, and then now being being 3 weeks into the show, to see everyone around me telling the story just with all that they have. They put so much heart into this material, and everyone is so darn talented. Sometimes I have to catch myself to not, get lost, just listening and enjoying the show. And honestly, backstage you'll find people will kind of sit in the wings or, watch the monitors downstairs just to keep reliving the show every night. It's something we can't ever get tired of because everyone is so talented and kind. Everyone has such big hearts. And most of the cast are local. Most of the cast, I think all but one actually are local. Clifton Duncan, who plays our Cole House, he's from the East Coast, and he's absolutely spectacular. And it's been great as well, just seeing how we've all come together to tell this story.
Okay. Well, I love the story itself. In fact, your character, I think, it speaks to the modern era of the black woman who basically supports the black man. And you think that, they're like a secondary figure. No, I mean, think about it. Where would Barack Obama be without Oprah Winfrey? She was the one who really got him in there.
I mean, and also, you think of the strong, successful black man, but where would the strong, successful black man be without the woman who gave birth to him? And who raised him and who nurtured him and fostered. There's the idea of man being strong and being the breadwinner and all of these things, but there's also the people forget that there has to be parents to raise and nurture, and I think Sarah is so important because she has Cole House's son, and she loses herself for a time, but once she finds herself again, they are able to put forth a legacy, and they have a son who will carry on their legacy. And hopefully, in the world of the show, as Cole House and Sarah's son grows up, hopefully her legacy won't be lost. I think that's something that always gets overshadowed. Their son will live on and be the next strong black man, that will pursue his dream. And he'll talk probably about his father, who was the cool musician, and, he was the man who, raised his voice and tried to, take a stand. But will he talk about his mother, who, went through so much to have him, and then to apologize to him and try and raise him, and then, essentially her memory, could get lost.
Well, I really love the show. Again, a lot of things we haven't even covered. Like, for example, Booker T. Washington with his opinion of how black man should be, separate but equal. Like, there was a Caucasian character who was just so oblivious. He said, "Oh, racism, no such thing as racism."
Right.
I mean, this is America. But there was a phrase that just summed it up. How could you have traveled so far but know so little about this world? So it was just very colorful, yeah.
It is very colorful. It's very powerful, too. And, again, those things are very relatable. I think those Booker T and the voice of Father, I think they both represent voices that we hear a lot in America, people who are kind of oblivious to the issues that are going on because they stay in their bubble where things are fine, nothing is wrong. And, as long as they have money and power and stability, then they're fine, but they don't see outside. They don't see past their own front door, and they can't see that there are so many other people in this country and in this world who don't have the same privileges that they do and don't have the same opportunities that they do. And then you have Booker T, someone who is trying to be a voice for the Black community, but in doing so, he's saying, okay, let's be quiet, let's be good, let's show them that, we can be tame and that we can be proper. And hopefully if we keep our mouth shut, they'll just eventually start, seeing things our way, and they'll be more willing to negotiate with us, and be more willing to be open with us. But, you have people like Kohlhaas, you have Black men like Kohlhaas who are like, well, no, we can't be quiet. We can't just wait around for them to give us privileges that we, should have been just born with. Let's take a stand and let's take some action. And action, quickly turns into violence. And so that's actually something that I think you see throughout history a lot. There's always, the peace versus violence, I think, approach to justice. And it's hard. It's a very slippery slope. It's really, when you get so passionate about something, Kohlhaas tried to be calm. He tried to, approach things from a peaceful, calm, educated place. He tried to speak to the powers that be who were denying him his rights. They didn't listen, and they actually ended up, hurting, people that he cared about and defacing his property. And so at that point, that's when he turned to violence, and he reached his breaking point. And his breaking point looks very different than Sarah's. It looks very different than any other characters, because everyone's breaking point, I think, is something that's very unique to them. And his breaking point was action, was violence.
Okay. Well, I love the performance. I loved your performance also. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I loved chatting with you. Thank you.
Ragtime the Musical will be playing at the Pasadena Playhouse from February 5th to March 9th. For more information, go to www.pasadenaplayhouse.org. This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at the Matrix Theater for their presentation of Two Trains Running.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Dorian Missick. Please come see Two Trains Running at the Matrix Theater. I play the role of Sterling, and it's an incredible piece. Sterling is representative of a person who, wants more in life, doesn't know how to go about getting it. And that happens to a lot of young men, and so I like to be able to have opportunity to honor that guy.
I loved your character because, you know how nowadays everyone's talking about anti-heroes, like Breaking Bad, where basically it's almost like a villain, or back in the old days of Shakespeare. Black theater's always been like that. They've always had these kind of dark characters, ever since Porky and Bess, where, the drug dealer was actually kind of central around. Well, they've always had these anti-characters, and they always done it very well. I liked your character also that way.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I think that speaks to the black experience. Oftentimes in America, we're not given the opportunity to walk the straight and narrow and be as successful, so you have to make other ways. So what would be considered an anti-hero in one community is considered a hero's hero in our community.
Also, like the way it talked about the African-American experience, because it not only talked about slavery, it talked about a lot of deep political, philosophical issues about the black social environment, about black politics, about black history and all that. It did very, very well.
Yeah, well, thanks. Yeah, I think this is what August Wilson brings that out of us. He speaks so clearly to our experience, and what I love about him is that it's a universal experience, that when people get an opportunity to sit in a theater and watch us live our lives, they can realize that they can see themselves in that, no matter what your background is. So I think it's very important. It brings people together.
I agree. It's universal. In a sense, it's like you don't don't have to be English to watch Shakespeare. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's a perfect example.
Yeah, so you don't have to be black, but you enjoy the black experience. You enjoy the history. You enjoy the rich culture, the brotherhood sometimes. You know what I mean?
Right, it's the human experience. It's just from this specific community. Just like what you said with Shakespeare, we connect to Shakespeare so much because it expresses the human experience, even if they are English. And so I think August is one of those writers who does that as well.
Once again, I loved your experience. I thought he was a little smarmy little guy. He was exciting.
He was fun.
He was like growing up and is experiencing life, doing the best he could in a really bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what they talk about, the guy with the broken hand? It's not being born with a great hand. It's actually what you do with the hand.
Right.
If you're born with a bad hand, what are you going to do with it? You can still win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. He said, look, I was born with luck, but they didn't say what kind of luck. Thought it was bad luck, but he made the most of it.
Once again, loved your performance. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Appreciate it so much. Thanks for having me.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm at KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with...
Okay, hey, I'm Terrell Tilford. I play Wolf here in 2 Trains Running, and I'm just having a blast. Happy that everybody came out to support, and we're having a great time. Wolf has he's his own lone wolf, and like everyone else in the play, he's fighting for something personally that he needs out of life at the same time, and he's a bit afraid of intimacy and that whole thing. There are very few people that he trusts, what have you. So Wolf has his own journey in terms of fighting for what he wants out of life.
Great. If my viewers decide to come out and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
They should be prepared to actually go on a journey, go on a blues journey, go with the music, and really enjoy themselves and luxuriate in this time period, 1969, specifically in the Pill Hill district of Philly, at the same time of Pittsburgh, and just be able to absorb and take in and listen to these men have these loving conversations through their own personal frustrations and livelihoods.
I said something to another cast member. You don't have to be English to go see Shakespeare.
No.
In a sense, you don't have to be black to go see this.
No, you do not. No, the beautiful thing about August Wilson, what he's set up for us is that what he's done, he has documented a decade of specific people in a specific location, but the story is always universal. If you have a level of humanity in you, then you, just like Shakespeare, you can identify very quickly with this. This may be these particular men's stories for the most part. However, this is a human, an American, a European. It's everybody's journey. It's everyone's story. August Wilson belongs to everyone.
Also, there's a new fad of everyone doing anti-heroes, like Breaking Bad or Walking Dead, where the hero is actually kind of like almost a villain and all that. The black theater has always been like that. Ever since Porky and Bess, and the drug dealer out there, they've always had these anti-heroes that were just very colorful, and there's the central theme of things.
What's important to me is that there's love in this play. That through, like I said, through everyone's frustration or whatever, you still see the love and affection for people, and that's what I choose to focus on within the play.
Okay. Once again, I love the performance. I loved your performance in it also, too.
Thank you. I'm having a great time, and I'm having a blast.
Right. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Alex Morris. Well, I'm an actor, and we just completed our opening night performance of 2 Trains Running by August Wilson.
Great. And which character did you play?
I played Mr. West, the Undertaker. Mr. West is a very determined, very almost OCD kind of fella. Since his wife died, he has a one-track mind. But he's a pillar of the community. He's probably the richest man in the community. And every community has a one kind of Mr. West in their community.
If my viewers decide to come out and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
They should expect to see themselves, reflections of themselves. August is a terrific writer who illustrates non-heroic people doing heroic things. So you should come prepared to hear yourself and your voice being spoken loudly.
I love watching black theater when I do get it, because basically there's a certain type of taste to it. It's like, when you go to see Shakespeare, you got to expect to see Shakespeare, the English accent, the regalness. In black theater, you see the earthiness, you see the street, you basically see the talk, the brotherly talk and all that. So I just love the way you guys did it.
Thank you. And we owe all of that to August Wilson, who is our version of Shakespeare. He writes in our voice. So all we have to do is listen and hear the words that he's saying and tell a story. That's pretty much it.
Even before they started developing anti-heroes, the black theater always had these guys who were basically like, dark, almost villainous creatures, but they were human beings doing human things, having human lives, having families, having at times happy endings too, at times tragic endings too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and again, the beauty of August's plays is that he makes these ordinary people heroic. So that's why it's a privilege to do his work, and that we're fortunate to have a man that has written an entire cycle of plays, excuse me, that speaks to the voices of people that are sometimes ignored.
Once again, I really love the performance, and I loved your performance. Thank you. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
2 Trains Running will be playing at the Matrix Theater from February 2nd to March 2nd. For more information, go to www.matrixtheater.com.